My computer says 1:59 still, so give it just a
Yeah.
couple more seconds here.
So punctual.
I try, you know? Like I said, I just walked into my office 5 minutes before this meeting, so that's pushing the limits, I think. So,
Mhm.
all right, it says 2:00. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Mag Building Code Committee on January 19th, 2020. Call to order for the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We will start in the top of the alphabet. Dave Zellner, Apache Junction.
Here.
Brett Harris, Avondale. Mike Izzo, Buckeye. Just muted himself. I don't think we can hear you, Mike. We can come back to you if you want. Mike Tibbet, Carefree. And then rounding out our section of Mike Baxley, Cave Creek. Lee Ray Hanley, Chandler. Brigham Bennett, El Mirage. Keith Easton, Florence. Anyone from Fountain Hills? Larry Taylor, Gilbert.
Present.
Georgie Pavlovic, Glendale. Mary Dixon, Litchfield Park.
I'm here.
Bill Lahr, Maricopa.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Mark Sipes, Maricopa County.
Good afternoon.
John Sheffer, Mesa.
Present.
Chuck Ransom, Paradise Valley. Dennis Chase, Peoria.
I'm here.
Stephen Dudley, Phoenix. Michael Williams, Queen Creek. And continuing in the Michael section, Michael Clack, Scottsdale.
Here.
Jeffrey Rallo, Surprise. Dino Accardo, Tempe. Wait, Jeffrey Rallo, I saw him. Jeff.
Yeah, he's still muted though.
Speak up when you can. Dino Accardo, Tempe. Kevin Bruce, Wickenburg. Saw him.
It's on there, they're just not answering.
Gregory Arrington, Youngtown. And then who joined? Georgie from Glendale.
That is correct, Scott. I'm here.
Okay. And then going back up to Vice Chair Randy Westacott.
I am here.
And Mr. Chair Dale Crandall.
I'm here.
Still here. So Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum and we can proceed.
And Mike Izzo is in now.
Hi, it was good to hear from you.
There you are, Mike. So.
Yeah, you don't get CEUs unless you chime in.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you all. I moved to item 2, call to the audience. An opportunity will be provided to members of the public to provide input through written comments to the Building Code Committee on items that are not on the agenda. We'll just jump through this. We have if you want to speak, you have ability for 3 minutes, total time of 15. Do we have anybody for speaking today?
We have no requests to speak. I do want to read this statement that we operate our committee meetings in full transparency, giving the public access to committee meetings, materials, and discussion. The public cannot view the chat comments. As a result, we are disabling the chat feature in all committee meetings moving forward. If you need technical assistance during a meeting, please contact the helpline at 602-452-5095 or contact the staff assigned to the meeting, which is me. We appreciate your understanding and helping maintain transparent discussions for the benefit of the public.
All right, thank you. All right, moving to item 3, approval of the August 18th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Oh, Mr. Chair, I forgot to mention one on the roll call. Jackson Mole, I think I saw. Sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough to the non-voting member section.
That's okay, Scott. I'm here.
And then Sharon Bonesteel. It's not here. Looks like we had a couple more join. Brett Harris
Here.
and Brigham Bennett just joined, and JJ.
Here.
Right.
Thank
you. Do we have a motion to approve or deny the minutes?
I'll make a move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion, need a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And yes, we do need a roll call vote.
So we're gonna have to do a roll call, yeah.
So that was Dennis and Brett, who seconded and moved and seconded. Randy Westacott,
Yes.
Dave Zellner,
Yes.
Brett Harris,
Yes.
Mike Izzo,
Yes.
Mike Tibbet, or anybody from Carefree, Mike Baxley, anyone from Cave Creek, Lee Ray Hanley, anybody from Chandler, Brigham Bennett,
Yes.
Keith Easton, or anybody from Florence, anyone from Fountain Hills. Oh, Keith is with us. He just gave me a thumbs up for the record.
Yep.
Larry Taylor,
Yes.
Mary Georgie Pavlovic,
Yes.
Mary Dixon,
Yes.
Bill Lahr,
Yes.
Mark Sipes,
I wasn't present, nor was at the meeting, but I'll have to abstain on this one.
okay. John Sheffer,
Yes.
Chuck Ransom, or anyone from Paradise Valley, Dennis Chase,
Yes.
and Stephen Dudley, or anyone from Phoenix.
I'll say yes in his stead.
Thank you. Michael Williams, or anyone from Queen Creek. Michael Clack,
Yes.
Jeffrey Rollo, or anyone from Surprise. Dino Accardo, or anyone from Tempe. Kevin Bruce. Gregory Arrington, or anyone from Youngtown. Okay, the motion passes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, item 4, comments from the committee. An opportunity will be provided to Building Code Committee members to present a brief summary of current events. Anybody need to have anything to bring up today?
This is Mark Sipes from Maricopa County.
Go ahead, Mark, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just say that I'm the new building official for Maricopa County. I started there in about 4 months ago. And currently we are looking to go through a code adoption process to get out of the 2012 and go to the 2018 I codes and 2017 NEC. I will follow up in a couple of, at our next meeting to let you know how the Board of Supervisors takes the notion.
No,
Do you have a targeted adoption date?
It'll be sometime probably in July or August if
Okay.
everything is given the green light to move forward. It will be a public process, and the public will be notified. I think Jackson Mole and the Home Builders Association, we met before, and they seemed amiable to our notion to adopt the newer code.
Keep me updated on when you have some progress and when they're going to go into effect, and I'll get the table updated.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Any other participants need to comments?
Given Mark's comments, I guess it's worth mentioning that Peoria is holding off on adopting the new codes right now for the foreseeable future. I would not anticipate any adoption actually being into effect probably till late this year, or maybe not even till 2023.
Okay.
All right, this is Keith Eaton. Might as well join in. So we had our first read last night of our 2018 codes. We're behind on this, of course, but not many questions. Like was said before, Jackson has done our reviews, our amendments, and we're going to put together a work session with a final reading and adoption. The 21st of February is kind of what we're looking at, with a take effect April 1st. So Jackson, you're getting an email as you sit right now. So I just seen it go through. So thanks for your help.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
I think we have a couple hands up there.
Okay. Hey, Randy?
Yeah, so Goodyear, if the supplemental gets approved, we'll be moving forward to the 2021 with a hopeful adoption of early 22. But again, I need to know that the supplement's approved before I start making plans. So Jackson, that's why you haven't heard anything from me yet. It's a little early.
Was that an effective date of early 23, you said?
Yeah. If all goes well, I'd like to go in January of 23. But it really depends on whether or not my supplemental gets approved.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Clack?
Yes, Scottsdale is also working on the adoption of the codes, the 2021 version. We've already had several meetings with our building advisory board and with the Home Builders Association. I hopefully will be able to take this to the city council sometime this spring with an effective date of July, but that could slide a little bit depending on when we get it before the city council.
Thank you.
All right. My screen doesn't show any more hands. Does anybody else have a comment?
Just a request that when you do have a target effective date, or when that gets firmed up, just send me an email and let me know which codes you're adopting and when they're effective, and I can get that table updated.
Okay, moving on.
Wait.
One
One more thing.
Okay, sorry, Randy. I didn't see that hand go up.
All right. So in the last meeting, we had a presentation from the general code folks. And I just wanted to give you all an update on how our process is going with that. So I received my PDFs today, and I'm going to be going through those and just verifying that they captured everything correctly. But hopefully within the next month or so, Goodyear's going to have their digital codes up available online as it's printed with all the amendments. So just to give you an update on that.
Excellent. All right. Now we'll move on to item 5. Building material shortage issues. The committee will discuss issues related to the shortage of building materials and how that is impacting in home building and inspection members. We'll discuss the best practice and possible solutions for these issues. Jackson, you gonna do a little presentation for us here? Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you putting this on the agenda. Many of you probably saw the email that I had Scott send out a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago about the challenges our builders are facing with material shortages. At that time, we highlighted shower glass enclosures, appliances, landscaping, and garage doors as a few of the notable items that builders were having trouble with. Obviously, the lack of these materials was in some instances holding builders up from being able to get certificates of occupancy and close on homes. This was particularly problematic a month or so ago because we wanted to make sure we could get people into their homes for the holidays. As a part of that email that I sent Scott, I included a letter that at least one jurisdiction in Southern Nevada was using to deal with these material shortages and asked if municipalities would consider using such a letter or if there were alternative methods that you all saw as a better approach. Fortunately, I did get some great feedback from a few of the committee members. And in general, the comments that I received were that the preferred approach was to kind of take these material shortages on a case-by-case basis to determine whether or not the municipality would issue the certificate of occupancy. And the reason for this approach is that the nature of the missing materials, the configuration of the home, what sort of hazards were implicated, what the code required depending on that particular material, and kind of what the needs of the builder were, all needed to be taken into consideration. And so therefore, the kind of one size fits all approach that the letter was proposing might not be the best way to approach this. So for instance, in some circumstances, the lack of shower glass could be remedied by hanging a shower rod, but that doesn't necessarily work in all instances since there's some shower configurations that have glass on multiple sides. Other times we heard that a builder could put in for a temporary certificate of occupancy, but that doesn't necessarily work for all builders because some builders' lenders won't close with a temporary C of O. They have to have a final C of O. So all this led me to the conclusion that the best approach then was to just put the building officials in touch directly with the builders to try to work through those issues on a case-by-case basis. And the good news is that in many of those instances, I believe we were able to reach a resolution that got some people into their homes. Since that time, I've also heard that builders are now having issues with things like medicine cabinets and mirrors, and still the persistent shower enclosure seems to be an issue. So because of all this, I asked for this item to be placed on the agenda so that first I could thank those of you that provided me feedback and then worked with our builders so diligently to try to get people into their homes around the holidays. Second, I thought this might be worthy of at least a brief discussion to see if there's anything new that you all are seeing that we haven't discussed or wanted to bring up, your individual approaches to kind of talk through this collaboratively with the group. And I don't know if anybody has anything else that they want to add other than kind of what we've talked about. But besides that, again, just thank you very much to all of you for your great work and collaboration through what I guess we'll say has been a very unique experience for all the builders.
Thank you, Jackson. Anybody else got comments? I will say this, just so you know, Jackson, we don't do too many houses in Tolleson. We do 1 and 2, maybe 3 or 4 here at the very most. But we're having issues with materials on our industrial properties and stuff that are going up. It is just not isolated to residential housing. It is all over the place. So it's an ongoing problem. Hopefully we can get it, something will take care of it and straighten it up. All right.
Yeah. This Randy with Goodyear Jackson. We've had some communication with some of the builders on different things, substituting materials and so forth because they can no longer get what's approved in their plan set. And so, as you indicated earlier, kind of working with the builders to find solutions to get people into their homes is really what we're trying to do out here without having a blanket statement that covers everything, because each case can be quite unique. But just know that, here in Goodyear, we're always going to work to try and find a solution. And, if we can meet with amicable terms, we'll get there.
Anybody else? Seeing none, hearing none. We'll move over to.
I think Bill Lahr has his hand up, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, there it is. There up on top. Go ahead, Bill. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Jackson, for reaching out. I know we played a little phone tag back and forth throughout the holidays. But I do believe with working with the contractors on a case by case seemed to work fine for us. I hope we didn't leave anybody out in the cold over the holidays, and that everybody got the interest rates that they anticipated before the end of the year. But I found that without the blanket statement and just working on a case-by-case basis, it worked better for us, and I do believe the contractors felt so too. Let me know if you hear of anything different. Greatly appreciate your help with it, Jackson.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody?
Just to close out the discussion then, just once again, I really appreciate everybody's help and feedback through this. I think one of the things that I quickly came to the conclusion on was that, given the kind of uniqueness of each of these circumstances and not knowing necessarily even one day from the next what's going to be the material that we're dealing with in terms of a shortage, I quickly reached the conclusion that your guys' thoughts about kind of taking this on a case-by-case approach and kind of staying away from kind of a blanket one-size-fits-all type solution was probably the best way to do that. And so I'll just continue to do what I've been doing, which is if I come across or hear about specific issues that builders are having with a particular type of material, and sometimes it's even a particular material in a particular community, I will just continue to reach out to you guys and try to put you in touch with the people at the builders that can kind of best work with you to understand the needs of what the builders are, and then can work through the hazards and the code issues with each of you individually. Until you guys tell me otherwise, I think that's the best way to approach it.
All right. Thank you much, Jackson. Appreciate the update. Okay. Moving to 6, legislative updates. An update on proposed and pending legislations related to the building code interpretation and administration in the current legislative session. Mr. Pryor, and I'm not going to say how to pronounce the name. I'm not that great at it, so I'll let you introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Great to see you all once again. Knowing that this committee very in tune to what's going on in any given legislative session. So really appreciate your all's interest in that. In a second here, I'm going to turn it over to Sapna Gupta. She's Senior Policy Planner at MAG. She's going to be working on our legislative tracking as an agency, and also, of course, with the Building Codes Committee during this session. So at future meetings, you can look for Sapna to be giving you updates regarding legislation and building codes at the committee. I do want to make a note because you'll probably be seeing it come up in your legislative reports and or media. Priority issue this session at MAG outside of building codes is on transportation. So renewal of Prop 400, the extension of the half-cent sales tax for the region is a priority issue. That tax is coming to an end. And we need the authority via the legislature to go to the ballot in Maricopa County to call a vote to extend that half-cent sales tax. So there's a lot of details there. Appreciate the home builders allowing us to come out and give a presentation recently. Good conversation there. Knowing that this agenda item is fixed on building codes issues, I don't want to deviate too far from the agenda item as presented. We'd be happy to give an update on the enabling legislation for transportation at a future meeting if requested by the chairman and or members of the committee. But with that, I'll hand it over to Sapna to give a little bit of an outlook for the session that started, especially as it relates to building code issues. So Sapna.
Thank you so much, Nathan, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. It is a pleasure to be working with you as a member of Nathan's team. As he mentioned, I will be tracking legislative activity that comes under the purview of the Building Codes Committee. As we all know, this promises to be an active legislative session, and there are a few bills that we are tracking. I will list them, and then what I would love to do is to get your feedback on additional legislative activity that you would like us to track. So right now, as of the second week, the bills that we are tracking is, one of them is SB 1105, which is a repeal on the prohibition prohibition of the statute that prohibits counties and municipalities from requiring measurements of energy usage and consumption. So that's SB 1105. And we have also another bill, which is SB 1150, which is on the pilot program and appropriations electric vehicles. So right now it's counties and municipalities would be prohibited from issuing a residential structure building permit for single family structure, et cetera, something that your committee discussed in depth last year as well. So this bill is being proposed again at this session. I think you're all aware of this one. Then the next bill is SB 1203, which is about architectural plans and healthcare institutions. The next one is House Bill 2151, which is on land divisions and acting in concert. This is about splitting parcels of land. The other bill that we're also looking at is HB 2579, and that is on residential zoning for and pertains to park model trailers. So these are the bills that currently we're tracking. We'll be keeping an eye on all legislative activity as the session continues. And I would love to, when you have a chance, get your feedback on additional bills that we're tracking. For this moment, Mr. Chair, this covers the areas that we're tracking, and back to you.
Thank you. Open for discussion and questions. Anybody have questions or comments?
This is Dennis with the City of Peoria. Is it possible to get like a brief summary or write-up emailed out to the board or all the members explaining everything?
Of those 5 bills?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I did get something from the ASBO Legislative Committee, but there are some that you described that were not on there. I don't know if anybody else got that.
A couple of those I had SEPNA add that you may not be that interested in. I think 2151 especially. It's more of a planning issue, land division, but it does reference building permits, and so I grabbed that. But yeah,
well, 1105 and 1150, I think definitely sounded like something that we want to keep tabs on, because I think we routinely do require some utility measurements for solar permits on some certain applications. So
yeah, we'll put together a summary of these. My understanding, and Jackson probably knows a lot more about all of these than I do, but especially 1150, that probably doesn't have much of a future. Would be my guess, but okay. We'll we can send you something.
And it doesn't have to be super elaborate, but just a little brief thing would be great if that's not too much to request.
No, that's easy. Sepna's doing a great job tracking this stuff. She's got information that we can pull together, and I'll send it out to the entire committee this afternoon or tomorrow.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comments, questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it's Jackson with the Home Builders.
Yes, sir.
So I don't have a lot of other specifics to add to the list. I will give you, just in the interest of candor, kind of 2 things that we've been involved in that took place prior to the session. So the first is that in about November, December, there was a bipartisan group of legislators that convened a large stakeholder group to talk about the issue of housing supply and affordability. This includes the legislators, the Home Builders Association, Multi-Housing Association, the League, many individual cities, affordable housing developers, so those that do low-income housing tax credits, Section 8, all that stuff, nonprofits such as Goodwill, and then advocates for people experiencing homelessness. All total, probably 30, 40 people in these stakeholder meetings. And so the purpose of the discussion was to talk about Arizona's housing affordability crisis, which at least in our view is really a housing supply crisis. And the stakeholders were kind of tasked with answering two questions. First, how does Arizona build more housing of all kinds? So homeless shelters, subsidized housing, apartments, homes for sale, kind of the whole list. And then second, are there needed regulatory reforms to bring down the cost of construction? And so as you can imagine, with that many people in the room, there were a lot of thoughts on those two topics. But for purposes of this committee and just in the interest of being upfront with you, there was a very brief discussion on building codes and how those increase the cost of construction. And so when asked what could be done to kind of rein in those cost increases, we offered two suggestions. One, make sure that any local amendments to the residential code, other than for energy conservation, kind of only address health and safety issues within the scope of what the code is intended to do. And then two is that if there are any new energy code provisions to require a limited payback period to recover the upfront costs of construction. And these two things probably aren't big surprises to any of you, as I've talked about these with you on numerous occasions. But that was kind of the nature of the discussion and kind of what we brought up as it relates to energy code. But beyond that, I don't have any other specific information. The other issue that I would give you an update on, and this one I really don't have any discussion on because I've just kind of heard it secondhand, but there may be a bill that's introduced this year that a building code can't prohibit the use of refrigerants that are listed pursuant to some federal law and are installed in accordance with those conditions imposed by federal law. I guess there was some discussion at ICC about this, but in short, this bill is needed to would potentially be needed to enable the use of new refrigerants that are approved by the EPA on, I guess, an ongoing basis or something. I don't know. So just, you may want to keep your eyes open for something along those lines. I don't know what exactly that's going to do or what the details are, or how it works with the building code, but I heard that may be coming. And so I thought I'd give you all a heads up on that as well.
Can I ask, I'm trying to take notes on all this. I'm going to make sure I understood you on that second one, that that possible bill would prohibit a municipality or county from prohibiting additional refrigerants?
No, I guess if I was going to phrase it kind of in the affirmative, basically, the code would have to allow refrigerants that are listed by the EPA pursuant to some federal law. And I don't know if this gets updated on a somewhat regular basis. And so the code just doesn't keep up. I just don't know. I had heard from others that this was an area of interest to someone. And so I thought I'd pass it along.
Thanks. That makes sense.
Any other comments, questions? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 7. Update MAG Building Code Committee membership. They're requesting the committee members review attachment 1, committee roster, send with the agenda. Please forward any changes to Scott Wilkins prior to the meeting, provide them at the meeting. Anybody have any updates at all?
Bob Lee retired, if you guys didn't know.
You actually retired?
That's
Yes.
I did not know that, really.
Yeah.
I didn't either. So I
Good
knew
for
he was,
him.
I knew he was knocking on the
Congratulations,
door.
Bob.
Yeah, good for
Yeah.
him.
I was wondering.
Yeah, Chuck Ransom
I'm
is the
shocked.
new building official over there.
Yeah, he kept it quiet because when I sent him an email, I got a response back from secretary.
Yeah.
Bob's officially retired. Oh, okay.
Officially.
That's how I found out too.
He even emailed me like a week and a half ago to give me info on how to get his permit numbers for the month.
Right up to the end, Jackson, right up to the end.
Last minute, Bob. All right, anything else? Any committee member? We have, 2 openings, I think. One's in Florence and one's in Paradise Valley now. That's where I seen this. I go, that was going to be my question, is whether Bob retired or not, because your agenda said, in the list said vacant.
Oh yeah, I wrote that before. So I found out when we sent it out, and then I emailed the town manager to find out who's going to be replacing him. Chuck Ransom has taken his place. I don't know if he's the full-time building official or interim, or I don't know what the status is. He's been appointed to the committee. So I don't know much more than that, but yeah, she got back to me after the agenda went out, so I didn't have a chance to fix the table.
That was the only thing that gave me any kind of a hint whether Bob retired or not. So yeah. Alrighty. Any other comments, questions on that? Okay, now seeing none. Move to item 8, update surveys on code adoptions. We kind of had a little bit of that earlier, but are there anybody else planning to do code updates, changes? Please either speak now or get it into Scott. So
please don't hold your peace.
Yeah. All right. Item 9, topics for future agenda. If you have a future, anything you want to try to get on the committee meeting, get a hold of me, Randy, or Scott. We can present it, get it together. Anybody have any suggestions at this time?
The one thing I'll mention is that big discussion we had last week with Sharon's item on residential electric charging. The way we ended that was that she put together a working group, and to my knowledge, that hasn't started yet. She hasn't had a chance to find that, so there's no update on that. But eventually, we will talk about that when there's an update.
This is Dennis with Peoria. As a matter of fact, one of the bills that was sent in the email I was referring to earlier was another proposal for that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to go anywhere, but we'll be tracking it and let you know as soon as if it does move at all. I'm sure Jackson's watching that pretty closely too.
I have a general question for the committee related to future topics and all. I mean, you don't have to go far on Facebook or whatever your social media outlet is. If you've put down somewhere that you're involved in building codes, you're seeing all sorts of crazy stuff, new building techniques, and I mean, just all sorts of stuff. And, my question to this group would be, is anybody interested in getting presentations from some of these organizations that have, erect or set housing or whatever that, has listings and whatnot, on the chance that it might show up in our market, and just being able to have a better understanding of what it is rather than, a 3-minute YouTube video or something.
I mean, I'll speak on that if you're looking for information or opinions. My only fear, Andy, would be duplicating something with ASBO. I wouldn't want to sit through the same presentation twice. That's my only comment.
Thanks, Dennis. Dave, I saw your thumb go up. Thank you.
All right. Anything else at all needs to come before the committee? Got a thumbs up here. I guess if you got something to say, go ahead and say it. Seeing none, no comments, we'll call for adjournment.
Just adjourn the meeting. We do not need a.
Actually, that's right. We don't need a
motion.
I adjourn the meeting.
Robert's rules is followed here.
Yes, well,
I just don't want to do that roll call vote.
Roberts forgets the rules sometimes.
Have a good one, everybody.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, all.
See y'all later.
See ya.
Thanks.